Today's lesson's 1.7, solving absolute value equations. The main objective is going to be solving equations in one variable, where we have our absolute value expressions. So first thing we're going to talk about is absolute value. Everyone has seen absolute value in the past, I'm hoping. What's the absolute value of 5? Absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. What does absolute value do? Does not switch it from a negative to a positive. In general, you were probably told absolute value is takes a number and makes it positive. What absolute value really is? If I graph 5 right here, how many steps does it take to get back to 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I plot negative 5, how many steps does it take to get to 0? 5. What absolute value is? It's the distance to 0. If I asked you to walk 5 feet, could you do that? Okay, so if I walked 5 steps, it's like this, right? What happens if I do this? I took 5 steps, but they were just backwards, right? But I still took 5 steps. It is impossible to do a negative distance. You can't run negative 5 feet. There's no such thing as negative distance. In numbers, just like we had, absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of x is 5. We didn't know if it was a 5 or a negative 5 because it's automatically going to change it to a positive 5. Algebraically, I have absolute value of a is equal to x equals a or x equals negative a. Here I have absolute value of x equals 12. What number for x gets me the absolute value is 12? What number put in here will get me 12? The easiest one's 12. There's always another one. Negative 12. Absolute value problems have 2 answers. Always. Okay, I can't always say always. I'll say 75% of the time, 90% of the time. You'll have 2 answers. There's one little case where you don't.
0.
I have, if it's equal to 0, the only thing you can have is 0. 0 equals 0. 0 has no sign. I have 3 times absolute value of x plus 7 equals 24. The first thing you notice is there's a 3 out front. What's the first thing that pops in your head that you have to do with that 3? You have to distribute. Here's a problem though. You can't distribute absolute values. Absolute values are like big giant towers. They're different from parentheses. You can't go in. So how do I get rid of this 3? What is this 3 doing here? Multiplying. How do I get rid of something multiplying? Divide by 3, divide by 3. I have the absolute value of x plus 7 equals, what's 24 divided by 3? 8. Now I have absolute value of x plus 7 equals 8. I have an absolute value equals something. Once you have just an absolute value equal to something, now I can split it up into 2 separate problems. The first problem I'm going to have, if that absolute value was not there, I'd have x plus 7 equals 8, or I would have x plus 7 equals negative 8. If that absolute value was not there, I don't know if it would be a positive 8 or a negative 8. because the absolute value automatically changed it to a positive number. So I have two problems. How do I solve this one? Subtract 7. Why do I need to subtract 7? We draw the wall, variables over here. I need to move the 7. It's a positive 7, so I have to put a negative 7. X comes down. 7 minus 7 is gone. 8 minus 7 is 1. On this side, there's my variable x. If I have a positive 7, I need to negative 7, negative 7. Subtract and negative mean the exact same thing. If I said write a subtraction symbol, you're doing this. If I said write a negative symbol, you're writing this. Well, you're writing this. It's the same exact thing. So I have x comes down, positive 7, negative 7's gone, equals. The reason why I don't like to say minus here, because I have a negative 8 and a negative 7. If I dig a hole 8 feet, then I dig another 7 feet, what's happened? I'm down 15 feet, right? It's negative 15. The signs are the same. You add and take the signs. These are your answers. Both of those are your answers. X equals 1 or x equals negative 15. Just to show you, if I put in 1, I don't even need a calculator for this. What's 1 plus 7? 8. Absolute value of 8 is 8. So I know I'm correct. Negative 15 plus 7 is negative 8. Absolute value of negative 8 is 8. You're good. We got to make sure that we're checking just to make sure what I did. I have the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 4. See if you can do this one. Coming around, I saw that a lot of you were listening on that last problem. What did we have to do on this one first? Divide by 3. You have to get the absolute value by itself. Get the absolute value by itself. So what do I have to do? Why do I add 3? So positive 3, positive 3. Absolute value of x equals 4 and 3 is 7. Now, since I have the absolute value of x is equal to 7, x is equal to 7, or x is equal to negative 7. And those are your answers. What I wanted to see, if you guys were paying attention, because I saw a few of you that did this. Absolute value of x minus 3 equals 4, and then you did another one that had a negative 4. That's not the case. You can't do that until its absolute value equals something. So this piece is wrong. Try this one. Let's see how we did. Do I have absolute value equals something? Since I have absolute value equals something, I can split it apart into two pieces. I'm going to have 8 equals x minus 2.5, or how do I write the other one? Negative 8 equals x minus 2.5. All you do is change the answer as being a negative, because that absolute value changes everything to become positive. Let's do the left problem first. What do I have to do to solve? Add 2.5. Why add 2.5? Because it's a negative, I need to add. Negatives are, or 2.5s are gone. X equals, what's $8 and $2.50? $10.50, 10.5. It doesn't matter if you do the positive one first or the negative one first. It also doesn't matter if you flip it around because you like the variables on the left. Now on the other one, I'm going to need to add 2.5, add 2.5. Gone. X equals negative 8 plus 2.5. Okay, signs are different, so I need to subtract. What's 8 minus 2? 6. Take off half. 5.5. The bigger one's negative. Negative 5.5. Or in the middle, and I circle my answers. There you go. I know some of you grabbed a calculator, but I'm trying to get you to understand you don't need that calculator. On this problem, what do I need to do before I can solve anything? Add 8. This 8 right here is affecting this absolute value. I cannot break it apart until this is moved. Add 8, add 8. Negative 8, positive 8 is 0 equals absolute value of x plus 2. So if I try to break it apart, I'm going to have x equals 0 or x equals negative 0, which there's no negative 0. So what this really means is 0 equals x plus 2. The absolute value means nothing in this problem. Subtract the 2, like some of you said. Subtract the 2. X is negative 2. That's your answer. This one only has one answer because it was equal to 0. When it's equal to 0, you only have one answer. If it's equal to a number, it's equal to 2. Do you understand the differences now? Here's this one. I have 3 plus the absolute value of x plus 4. What do I have to do first? Subtract the 3. Subtract the 3, subtract the 3. Absolute value of x plus 4 is equal to negative 3. What do I know about absolute value? In general, what does absolute value do? It changed it to positive. I have absolute value of x plus 4 equals a negative 3. Can the absolute value be equal to a negative? What's the absolute value of 5? 5. What's the absolute value of negative 5? It always changes to positive, right? So can I ever get a negative? Right now I know there's no solution. The reason why this one has no solution, it is equaled to a negative number. An absolute value cannot equal to a negative number. These are two of your little special occasions. What do I have to do on this one first? Subtract 2 here, subtract 2 here. I have negative absolute value of 2x minus 5 equals, what's 5 minus 2? Or sorry, 7 minus 2 is 5. But I have a problem here. There's a negative out front. So really what I'm going to do is change the sign of both sides. Absolute value of 2x minus 5 equals negative 5. And because I have an absolute value equal to a negative number, no solution. This is showing the work that proves that why it's no solution. Just writing no solution because you didn't understand the problem and thought that might be right, it's not good enough. A support beam for a building must be 3.5 meters long. It is acceptable for the beam to differ from the ideal length by 3 millimeters. Write and solve an absolute value equation to find the minimum and the maximum acceptable lengths for the beam. First thing about this problem is that I want you to try to set up an equation for homework and those problems on the board. See you tomorrow.